G'day guys, in this video I'll be installing an Anderson plug to my parents' Mitsubishi Pajero, simplifying the 12 volt cabling in their cub camper and building a fully portable second battery setup complete with a projector 25 amp DC charger. They have a big trip planned to Uluru and I want to make sure that their beers are cold for when they get there, so let's get into it. So the old man's just turned up. He's about to hand over the keys to his pride and joy. There he is. Morning.
Good morning, how are you going?
Good, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Hand over the keys.
There are the keys.
Do you realise I'm not an auto sparky?
You better do a good job all the same.
Have you got a fire extinguisher? I promise I won't blow it up today, but I can't promise anything when you're out on the road. But I'll do my best. I think I know what I'm doing.
If I don't come home,
yeah,
there could be something wrong.
It won't be my fault though.
No, it won't be your fault.
Won't be my fault.
No.
Alright, there it is.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty.
How long will it take you?
I don't know. A couple of hours probably. I've just got to find somewhere to
I think
put
you
it.
might need more than that. If I want a good job done.
You didn't say anything about wanting a good job done.
No, I didn't, did I?
You just wanted the job done.
Just do your best.
Thank you. Alrighty, for my parents' setup, they want the battery and battery box mounted in the camper. This came with their camper. So obviously a King's battery box with a King's 120 amp hour AGM battery. They want it mounted in the camper. Previous owners of that cub, everyone's done their own sort of little electrical modifications. There's cables running this way and that, snipped off, ring terminals here, ring terminals there. I'm going to simplify that entire setup. They don't want it mounted on the drawbar for security reasons. They don't want it mounted in the toolbox. They want it in the camper, which is fine. I just need to run a new cable from the drawbar on the cub all the way inside, which is then going to connect to the DC charger, which is then connected to the battery, obviously. So this is the charger that got removed from our trailer when I did the lithium battery upgrade, and I'm just going to have it mounted on the top of their battery box. I did have to make a couple of modifications to the terminals. I've just added an Anderson plug for the alternator input into the charger, and I had to run an additional negative cable, and the solar input is exactly the same. Anderson plug terminal on the solar input, and I ran an additional negative cable. The charger has also got its own negative terminal. Those negative cables obviously will run to the negative terminal on the battery box, and the output, what delivers the charge to the battery from the charger, I've connected a 50 amp blade fuse as well, and that will go to the positive terminal. The Pajero is 12 years old. It doesn't have a smart alternator, it's just fixed voltage. So the ignition wire on the charger doesn't need to be connected, which is good because this setup wouldn't work mounting this in their trailer unless I ran a cable all the way to the Pajero. This is actually going to be shared between my parents and me. So when we go touring, we're going to run a similar setup in the back of the Everest, but we do have a smart alternator. So I need to get power to that ignition wire. Quite simple. What I've done is I've connected that wire to a length of cable with a cigarette plug. Now that's just going to go into the cigarette socket in the boot of the Everest. And in addition to that, the Pajero doesn't have an Anderson plug. So I'm going to be fitting an Anderson plug for them as well. Now this is a King's pre-wired Anderson plug, 6 meters of cable. It's got ring terminals, 50 amp maxi fuse, Anderson plug connection at the back. Now it's a pretty simple setup. I'm going to put it into some split tubing, connect it to the battery, find a path in the Pajero, run it to the back, mount it near their trailer plug. I've actually connected the terminals already. You can see there and there, it's already in the split tubing. I've removed the fuse already, so there's no live connection to the Anderson terminals at the other end of the cable, so I wanted to connect it to the battery first. I don't want to, run it to the end and then realise they're not long enough, so I wanted to get it secured at this end first. And I've just run it along the back of the firewall there, ran it underneath the fuel filter, cable tied it along the back, come around the other side, follow this pipe all the way down, and that was quite tricky. Obviously you don't want to mount it near any moving parts. So we've got the steering column just down here. You don't want to mount it anywhere near any heat sources. So here's the exhaust right here. So there's the heat shield from the exhaust. So I've tucked it behind that, away from the steering column. And then obviously as I run it underneath, I want to keep it away from the exhaust and the suspension and anything like that. So I poked it down through the bottom. And it's just coming down from under there, so now I just need to find a path. Whew, it's tight under here. Just need to find a path along the those pipes there, all the way along to the back. Alrighty, so I haven't cable tied any of it up yet, but I've run it. I just need to tie it up. You can see the cable here, obviously, and follow it down. Whew. I've got it running up through there. Tucked it up above all the suspension. Up in through there. Sorry, it's probably very difficult to see. I just need to cable tie it to everything as we come out to the back. And come around the back of the tuber. Man, it's tight under there. Coming up the back there, and basically I've got just enough. There's the end of the cable there. Righty, all cable tied up. I've already got the Anderson plug connection on the end. I've removed the trailer plug. I just made up this little bracket here. That'll get mounted on there, up in there, and then the Anderson plug straight onto that, and then we're done. Put the there we go. Beautiful. Well, that's that job done. Now I've got to do is wire up that DC charger to the portable battery. So as I was saying before, I had to wire or connect some extra negative cables. So they're all gonna connect to the negative terminal on the outside of this battery box. I could make it a little bit tidier and prettier by mounting them on the inside of the box, but because I want this to be a portable, easily disconnectable setup, I'm just gonna put them on the outside. Now, you can actually get battery boxes pre-wired with DC chargers, and they're going to look a hell of a lot better than what I'm putting together now. But they're actually really expensive. They're close to 800 bucks. Whereas this setup here, I mean, we had the battery box and the battery lying around, and I had the DC charger lying around, so it was really easy to put it together and save some money. Because I think DC chargers, I don't know, 300 bucks, battery box, you're looking at about 100 bucks. So all of this is about $400–500. So you save yourself a couple of hundred by putting it together yourself. It's just a little bit more involved, and as I said, it doesn't look as good. But if you've watched any of our previous videos, you know I don't really care what things look like as long as they're functional. Anyway, moving on. So that's pretty much it. I'm just going to tighten them up. I'll tidy up the cables. We've got the output going to the positive, all the negatives going to the negative. Alternator in, solar in, and then I'll clean this all up. I'll load this up in the back of the Pajero, head over to the old man's place, and then I'll get started on the camper. Alright, all we've got to do is reverse the car up, connect the Anderson plug, and make sure that the charger activates. All connected up. Let's just go and see if that's connected and charging. Alright, so we can see on the charger here, the alternator's connected, and we're just going to wait for the DC charger to recognise it's got the input coming from the Anderson plug on the drawbar, and once the voltage of that start battery triggers the VSR within that charger, we'll start delivering a charge. There we go. Charging, it worked. No need for that fire extinguisher either. What do you think of that? You happy? Mouthful of food.
Mouthful of food.
Smooth operator.
I'm happy. I'm going to take the fire extinguisher out of here now.
Yeah, leave it in your car. So,
yeah, leave it in the car.
Yeah, so you've always got access to it.
It's in
Where my handiwork blows up.
You're more confident than that. I know. I know I'm your old man, but
yeah. All right, I think we're done. I think that's a win.
Thank you.
It's a good setup.
Thank you. That's just what I wanted.
Portable setup. And the fridge is, when they're at camp, the fridge is going to sit down here. And when they're underway,
Easy access.
Mum and Dad are underway, it's going to stay up there with it all folded up. There's no worry about it.
It's not going to slide or
come loose or anything. Just check the voltages. Look at that. 14.4. Oh, well, this will be comfy.
Very comfortable.
Yeah.
I suppose you ought to be now.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Okay.
Get in
Here
there.
it is. If it's working, it's cold. There you go.
Oh yeah, they're cold.
Cheers. Thanks very much for
Good on
that.
you. Welcome. Bottoms up. Oh, that is cold. It's a good fridge, that.
That is a good fridge.
Alright, well I think that's about it for this episode, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, leave a comment. We'll catch you out there. Cheers again.
Cheers.